Before I start this video, I am putting up this disclaimer that this video or even this channel will not focus on teaching you how to use After Effects. There are already dozens of videos on YouTube about that topic, and at the end of the day, After Effects is just a tool. And knowing how to use a tool doesn't always mean you can use it to create something beautiful. And that's why this channel will focus mostly on motion design, and I will be using different softwares for that. It could be After Effects, it could be Premiere, it could be Blender, Figma, or even Webflow. Also, even though my target audience are Indians, and as much as I love to speak Hindi, I will be using English as main language for this channel for two reasons. One is that throughout our country we have different cultures and different mother tongues, and second is that if you are getting into the field of design, knowing how to hold a conversation in English will serve you very well in long term, whether in getting an international client as a freelancer or getting a good full-time role. And it will help me practice as well, so it's a win-win situation. Also, this is almost my first time creating a video like this, so any feedback will be valuable. Enjoy. Motion design has been around for a while now, and it is still in an ever-evolving phase, with video editors, graphic designers, and even UI designers trying to adopt to this field of design that they consider as the next big thing. And still a surprising amount of people that I talk to don't exactly know what it is. Hi, I am Mayank, and I am a freelance designer based in India who is especially in love with motion design. I have worked on almost all kinds of motion design projects, whether it's a video explainer, VFX, motion design for UI, 3D, and the list goes on. I still have a lot to learn, but I believe I've learned enough to share my knowledge with others. Motion design in most simple words is graphic design put in motion, hence the word motion graphic design, or simply MoGraph. And I can see it almost everywhere I go. The animations you see on your smartphone screen, the end screen you see after YouTube videos, the title screen you see in a movie, and sometimes even movie sequences are also done by motion designers. Motion design is getting popular by the time because video content is used so much these days, and knowingly or unknowingly a lot of these videos use motion design in one way or another. Motion design is a combination of many disciplines. Apart from graphic design, it includes video editing, interaction design, storytelling, and illustration. Now, not every motion project requires all these skills. This is just the spectrum of how wide it can be. For example, those running lines that tells you latest news are also motion graphics, but they might not require these many skills. In other cases, maybe a small sequence of Into the Spider-Verse, it was a great movie by the way, requires more than just these skills that are listed, and these skill set might define what kind of motion design you are doing. Now, the types of motion design I'm about to mention here is not set in stone. It's just a categorization I've done on my own. There can be more than just these types, but for starters, this will give you a really good idea of how wide the use case of motion design is. Logo or title animations. This, you can say, is the most stereotypical, or maybe a better way to put this is most popular form of motion design, or at least in my experience, because people who don't know much about motion designers usually think they only do logo animations. Getting back to the point now, logos are literally everywhere, and since everything is rapidly moving towards video media, you can see animated logos just as much as you can see still logos. And there are specific motion designers who specialize in animating just that. Logo or title animations is the field of design that requires lots and lots of creativity, lots of planning, and lots of understanding of design in general, because you are not just animating a logo randomly. You are trying to animate it in such a way that it represents the brand or whatever it is trying to represent and still look beautiful. Explainers or advertisements. This is a field that's very close to me personally, and I love making advertisements because with every new advertisement or explainer video, there's a different kind of challenge. And there's lots and lots of room for creativity and experimentation. I'm pretty sure most of you already know what an advertisement is. An explainer, or to be more specific, a video explainer, is a video that explains about anything. Well, that was pretty obvious. And it can be a product, it can be a product lineup, it can be about a company, it can be a new feature, but its primary purpose is to introduce the audience with something new. And you can go crazy with these kinds of projects. 3D, cell animation, stop motion, sky is the limit. All you need is a good understanding of filmmaking, very good understanding of storytelling, and lots of creativity. UI UX or interaction. When you are using an app or a website, or basically any type of software, you click and hover and drag stuff around, right? You interact with the software. Now, in a real world scenario, when you interact with stuff, it can be an object, it can be a person, or it can be an animal. They react back, they respond back to your interaction, and that's why they feel like they are real. They can exist in real world. Well, to make your softwares look lively and fun to use, they use motion. The dynamic island in newer iPhones is a peak example of this. The way it looks alive and so active is all because of motion. So more example for these are swipe animations on your phone and tap animations, because all of these try to convey a message to the user. Like when you swipe beyond the limit, it reverts back telling the user there's no more page to scroll. I will explain more about interaction design in some other video. Infographics. Conveying informations and data to the audience can get boring very quickly. So nowadays we use graphical representation of data so the information can get through quickly and in a more fun way. But that can also get boring at some point, so we involve animation to that as well to make things more interesting. You can see these kinds of motion design presentations a lot. You usually have to deal with a lot of data in this one, so a bunch of scripts and templates always comes in handy in these kinds of work. 3D. Now 3D is its own separate world, and anything and everything I talked about until now can be either done in a 2D setup or a 3D setup. Now getting involved with 3D comes with a lot of its own challenges, which are very different from 3D scenes. Lighting, texture, simulations, doing animations in 3 axes, requirement of very expensive systems, and steep learning curves of 3D softwares, and hours-long tutorials. Along with these, 3D projects take time to make, but the flexibility that comes with 3D space opens a whole new world of creativity, so I think it's worth all the pain. Now that you have a basic understanding of different use cases of motion design and how motion design looks in action in different scenarios, I'm gonna show you some of the most popular options of softwares for motion design. After Effects is undoubtedly the most capable software for motion design. It integrates very well with other Adobe softwares like Premiere Pro, Illustrator, Photoshop, Adobe XD, etc. Now, if you are serious about learning motion design, you have to inevitably learn After Effects because there is simply no alternative for it. There are dozens of stuff that simply cannot be done on any other software, and most of the things that can be done on other softwares can be done in After Effects. And that's why this is used most of the time by motion designers. That is unless you're only do 3D, and that's where Blender comes in. So Blender is pretty much the best software right now if you want to get started with 3D design and animation. Main reason being that it is free, it is open source, so if you're trying to explore this field, this can be a good option for you. Plus, Blender covers almost all aspects of 3D pretty easily. So for example, if you want to do hard surface modeling, Blender provides enough tools for you to achieve that. And same goes for sculpting, texturing, shading, animation, and everything else. Plus, it also has tools to composite your renders and still somehow manages to accommodate all that inside almost a 300 MB setup. I mean, I don't understand how Adobe manages to make all their softwares so freaking big in sizes. That all said, if you only care about motion designing in 3D, I think a better option for you will be Cinema 4D, because even if you can't do all this stuff you can do in Blender, Cinema 4D is known for its MoGraph tools that can get a lot of job done pretty easily if you are doing 3D motion design. And Cinema 4D is used by a lot of studios, so if you're trying to get into one, you might need to get your hands on Cinema 4D. Although I should tell you this, that Cinema 4D is a paid software, and a lot of things in Cinema 4D cannot be done without third-party plugins, and those are also paid. For example, the default render engine inside Cinema 4D is pretty bad, so you have to inevitably purchase a third-party render engine like Redshift and Octane, and those are some pretty expensive render engines. Up next is Figma, which is an incredibly good software for UI design, and like every other UI designing software, Figma comes with its own sets of features for prototyping and UI animations. So if interaction design sounds more like your thing, you should definitely explore Figma. Or actually, even if it's not, you should at least try Figma because it's an extremely easy software to learn. And you can use it for a lot of things, even as a motion designer, like mood boarding, storyboarding, and making style frames. Although Figma is not very flexible for animation, so you are either very much restricted, or you have to take longer routes to set up the same animations that can be done with ease in After Effects. I think Framer provides many more options for prototyping as compared to Figma, but I haven't tried it out yet. Now, there are a lot of softwares that I didn't mention in this list because I think you all don't need to explore anything else right now as a beginner. But we will explore other softwares too in future, like Character Animator, Rive, Spline, Framer, Webflow, and as of today when I'm recording this tutorial, Procreate launched its own animation app called Dreams. Such a time to be alive, bro. I think that would be enough info for you all to choose the right tool and expertise and at least get started with motion design. Now you can go ahead and download your choice of software and start navigating around. Maybe watch a couple of tutorials on how to use that software. In the next video, we will cover things like the graph editor and how to choose the right system for you to get started with motion design, or basically any topic that will help you take your next step to be an awesome motion designer. Until next time.